ways to look at this. There's justice is served when the process goes through and whatever happens, happens, whether we like it or not. This is an injustice. Let the process go forward, but you can't expect, and you shouldn't expect, based on his words and based on practical reality, that any of those cases will proceed in federal court.
You're watching The Big Deal. I'm Errol Louis. All year, we've been closely following Donald Trump's 4 criminal cases. That includes the New York hush money case, where he was convicted on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. But now the question is, what does a second Trump presidency mean for those legal cases? Joining me now to talk more about what's to come is Jeremy Saland, a criminal defense attorney and former assistant district attorney in New York City. Good to see you, Jeremy. And you've had years of experience as a prosecutor, in the same office that brought the hush money case against Donald Trump. He's scheduled to be sentenced in just a few weeks. And in theory, he could be sent to prison. But what happens now that he's on his way to the White House?
Well, Judge Merchan has the opportunity to set aside the verdict, meaning basically for this to go away, for lack of a better term. I don't think that'll happen. But I also don't think that Donald Trump gets sentenced. You don't sentence a president-elect and potentially while he's sitting, having him serve something. So I think people should take out of their mind the realistic opportunity or possibility that he's going to see a second incarcerated, or for that matter, I don't expect him to be sentenced at all.
Meaning the judge has the discretion to say, I'm going to withhold sentencing until
Right.
4.5 years from now.
Right. I mean, I'll use the term in perpetuity, though it's not really in perpetuity. If he bumps this out past the election, and past the term that Trump serves, that's a possibility. But at that point, you're going to turn around and what are you going to do? Give him community service, probation? It's just not a practical, realistic answer.
Okay, let's move on to the federal cases. The president-elect has vowed to replace the special counsel Jack Smith, who brought the classified documents case in Florida and the fake electors, the January 6th obstruction case in Washington, D.C. Would the new attorney general appointed by Trump have the power to just end those investigations?
Yeah, Trump has the ability, as he said, he's going to fire Jack Smith within 2 seconds. Yes, this is, again, a big W and a very large capital W for the, I say former president, but soon to be president. So this is gone too. And unfortunately, I mean, there's 2 ways to look at this. There's justice is served when the process goes through and whatever happens, happens, whether we like it or not. This is an injustice. Let the process go forward, but you can't expect, and you shouldn't expect, based on his words and based on practical reality, that any of those cases will proceed in federal court.
And what about the Georgia state case, which is currently on hold anyhow?
Right, so if ultimately Fani Willis gets control back of this case and is able to proceed, it's not a policy of state law enforcement officers, but the Department of Justice wouldn't be prosecuting a sitting president or president-elect. I think the same would hold locally in the state of Georgia, and then if she isn't able to proceed, whoever takes her place, are they practically speaking going to pick it up and run it across the finish line? Again, W, a large win.
What does this say about our court system if the best way to avoid responsibility, even after you've been convicted, is to win an election?
This is so unique to the presidency and so unique to this president and so unique to the circumstances. I don't think it's an indictment of the justice system. I do think it is a grave injustice, no matter where you fall, to not allow the process to follow through and play out. That's a real problem. But you also have to look at the big picture. And I think continuing these cases, no matter what color glasses you wear, blue or red, is really a bad look and a bad thing for the country.
So we've been talking about criminal cases, but there are several civil lawsuits now facing the president, one related to sexual abuse, the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, a defamation lawsuit brought by the exonerated Central Park Five for comments that he made during this the September debate. He has a degree of immunity, as you've described, from criminal prosecution, but the precedent set, I think, in the Clinton administration suggests that the civil lawsuits go forward.
That's right, Errol. You can look at this kind of in 2 different buckets. You have the criminal bucket and the civil bucket. So that civil bucket is very different, and that's going to proceed. Where it goes, we still have to find out, but we know, for example, looking at New York with Tish James' case, that is still caught up in the appeals and what they're going to do. So these matters can proceed. E.G. Carroll, that's going to continue to its end, and whatever's being appealed, that is separate and distinct from the criminal cases.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeremy Saland. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.